So let's go ahead and get into the recap portion of the show. Man, this was a tough watch this week. so this was the episode was not great. I thought the second half of the episode was much better than the first half, if that makes any sense. But the first half of this episode just drug, and all the fans were just sitting on their hands, like just super quiet, and you can't really see. You can only see the tops of their heads, and then behind them is just like a black hole, And I just watched NXT, and I thought NXT sucked, but then you watch them. There's probably more people at the TNA show than who were at NXT, honestly. But they're loud, they're vibrant, they're going crazy. And then behind them, like they're up, like you can see they're in bleachers to where they're ascending they're ascending up, right? And then behind them are the big screens and they got all the lights. It just looks like a lively, vibrant, like happening show. And then you get to TNA and they're shooting darkness and nobody's saying anything. The crowd is just silent. Nobody cares. And it sucks. Like the first half of this episode, nobody cared about anything. It wasn't until Mike Santana came out through the crowd that the audience really got up and got motivated. That was it. That was I don't know. And then Mustafa Ali was over, so that was cool. And then we got to the main event, and I thought the main event with Joe Hendry and Eddie Edwards was very good. But man, the first half of this episode was a tough watch, and the backstage segments just weren't any good. Like it was tough, man. But second half, saved it a little bit. But I would say that if you're checking this out on YouTube, or you're just one of the Patreon subscribers that doesn't really watch TNA, you just like my recaps. This episode you could probably just skip, or if you want to just watch the main event, I'm sure that's clipped for YouTube already. Like you probably get by with just that. But the show kicked off with a look back at the System versus Matt Hardy and Ryan Nemeth. And then in the aftermath with Santino Marella making the matches for the System at Against All Odds. And we also reflect on the X Division title eliminator between Speedball, Mountain Partners, setting up Trent Seven versus Mustafa Ali for the title at Against All Odds. So the opening match was Chris Bay defeating Ace Austin. I thought what they did in the match was pretty good. I expected this to be better. I think the lack of crowd noise affected them while they were working, but they honestly didn't do anything too crazy exciting. They did their typical stuff. If you're going to do a partner versus partner match and it's going to be Ace Austin and Chris Bay, you need to put them in a prime position to be able to do that, to maximize what they can do. The crowd wasn't helpful, but that's up to the wrestlers to give them something to be excited about. So the match wasn't bad. I thought it was a very well worked match, and I thought they did a good job. But it was a babyface match, but they should have really went all out. They should have hit every fucking move in their arsenal and did like 20 minutes of just nonstop, craziness. But what they did was just like a nice little professional wrestling match, and that's probably why the crowd was so silent. You got to work a little bit harder when you're going into these podunk towns like Newport, Kentucky, to get some of these people excited. Now, I know Newport is a suburb of Cincinnati. I'm kidding, but they didn't do that, and it was a dead crowd, despite the fact that I thought they had a well-worked professional wrestling match, but they really should have just went balls to the wall. Opening contest, balls to the wall. Hey, Austin and Bay. Like, watch Bryan Danielson versus Will Ospreay. Neither of you are any close to being as good as those two, but go do that and kick ass. Get these people fucking excited. But we didn't get that. We got a nice little professional wrestling match, and Chris Bay won in the end with a roll-up. The first roll-up of the night. First match, Chris Bay wins a decent little match with a nice little roll-up. Keep that in mind. Roll up. Then we go to Zaya Brookside versus Steph DeLander. Neither one of these girls got it, by the way. Just they're not that great. Hold on. Swig of coffee for the working man. But they're coming out. They did nothing in the match. and Steph DeLando goes to the outside at one point. She goes to grab a chair. As she's pulling the chair, PCO is holding onto the chair. They did the same exact angle in WWE not that long ago with I think it was Sam Shaw in TNA, but he's Dexter Lumis. That's like the Dexter Lumis Indy Hartwell gimmick. It was the same thing. It was literally same scene, same exact scene that they did in WWE. They just did here. They just redid it. So pulls PCO out. PCO, he's over. Everybody loves PCO, and they start hitting the PCO chant. Zaya Brookside then tries to go and do a dive onto Steph DeLander. PCO pushes her out of the way and catches Zaya, throws her back in the ring, and then throws Steph DeLander back in the ring. She's distracted, and Zaya Brookside gets the victory with, you guessed it, a roll-up. Distraction roll-up. So we're back-to-back matches with roll-up finishes, guys. We're real fucking creative, TNA. Maybe that was RD Evans' fault. Maybe that's why he's gone. Maybe somebody watched the episode ahead of time. Was like, oh shit, RD, what are you doing, brother? Roll-ups? We're doing roll-ups? Okay. So the second roll-up, and then afterwards, PCO gets in the ring, and he's doing his George the Animal Steel gimmick, and he gives Stephanie DeLander like a note with a heart. This is Steph on it. Honestly, this got over to the live crowd. It's cheeseball shit, and that cheeseball shit always works in front of live wrestling audiences for some reason. But she took the napkin and she accepted it, and then she put it in her bra. So, and then smiled. So I don't know where we're going with. Well, I don't know. This is leading to Slammiversary. Steph DeLander is clearly going to turn on him. I think the opponent was always supposed to be Matt Cardona. I don't know who it's going to be. Color me intrigued. It's not exactly what I want out of my pro wrestling, but I'm sticking with this one. All right, I'm sticking with it. We'll see where this one goes. And then we get the Jordan Grace on NXT recap. So they actually showed the footage from WWE, which was cool. So footage is shown of TNA Knockouts champion Jordan Grace appearing on the NXT on USA earlier this week, and it was revealed that she is the challenger for Roxanne Perez, the former Roxy. Of course, the TNA Twitter account tweeted out the Deonna Purrazzo Roxy title versus title match from TNA from a couple years ago, which that was a very good match. If you guys get a chance to go check that out on YouTube, I remember covering that that night, the night that it happened. I was like, damn, these girls killed it. Roxy's awesome. I was like, then I advocated for TNA to sign Roxy, but she'd already had an NXT deal lined up. So then we go to the back. Rich Swann and AJ Francis confront Laredo Kid, and Foe congratulate him on becoming TNA Digital Media Champion before sucker punching him and attacking. So they were saying, they're like, hey, and then we also want to wish you luck in your upcoming title defense against AJ Francis. He's like, what are you talking about? I don't have a match. And he goes, yeah, you're going to have a match. You're going to go ask Santino for the match. He's like, I am. What makes you think that? And then, of course, AJ Francis hit him with an elbow and threw him into the wall. So so he's like, yeah, I guess that's one way to do it. Yeah. Nice. It was nice title run you had there, Laredo. It's good knowing you, buddy. And then backstage, Big Con bumps in to Jake something. They just did this recently with Chris Sabin and Steve Maclin, and we're here 6 weeks later. And yep, Big Con bumps into Jake something. So backstage, you see a confrontation. Diener gets in the middle of between Con and Jake something. Con challenged something to a match for next week and tells something not to listen to Diener because he did and regretted it. You guys remember a couple weeks ago when Big Con tried to attack Leon Slater and Leon Slater kicked his ass and threw him out of the ring? Whatever happened with that? They never had a match. I just thought of that. But yeah, no, Big Con and Jake something bumped into each other. They dreadedly bumping it. And now we got to have a match. So there you go. And then we go to Jonathan Gresham defeating Sami Callihan. Yo, this was death. This was a tough watch, man. I don't know what they're doing with this Gresham thing, but boy, is it not working. I dig the mask. It was like, I don't like, I dig the mask. And I'll be honest, the ink stuff, I don't like the ink stuff on the hand and rubbed it on the face. I don't like that part, but if he did like the mist, like that's just been a part of wrestling lore forever. So if he's like spitting, it's like okay, but this was not good. It really wasn't, and the crowd was dead for it. They don't know what the hell to make of this Jonathan Gresham thing, and Sami Callihan was doing everything he could to get people to chant thumbs up, thumbs down. He did it so many damn times during the match, nobody cared. It just was not work. Like Gresham's like trying to bite him multiple times, and I'm just like, what? I don't know. I just wasn't like, this was boring. It wasn't interesting. It's not scary. It's not anything. It's cringy. This whole thing sucked. I don't know. I don't know what the hell Gresham's thinking with this new character. I don't know. But Gresham grabbed Callihan while he was on his knees, tried summoning something, but Callihan fights back. Callihan noticed ink all over his hands, gets distracted. Gresham snuck in a low blow, and then guess how Gresham won this match? Guess how? Take a fucking wild guess. Roll up. Third match in a row. Same finish. And you guys wonder why the company's in the state that it's in. You guys wonder why there's only 200 people in this little bar sitting on their hands. Roll up, motherfucking roll-ups. 3 in a row. You suck, TNA creative. Maybe they'll blame that on RDF. It's like, oh, that's why we got rid of him. There's no continuity. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. The producers, like, and they tape this stuff out of order too. So whoever put together this show should be fired. Maybe that's why Dave Sahadi got shit canned. I could not believe it. I was like, why? We got 3 roll-up finishes in a row? What are we doing? Lazy. There's lazy ass people in this company. Not knowing what the fuck they're doing. Let me go to Gail Kim sitting down with Gisele Shaw. Gail Kim, Gail Kim, Shaw talks about getting depressed after coming up short in her knockout. I think she was depressed because her boyfriend got fired. Kim explained to her that her starting from scratch is okay and something you shouldn't shy away from as long as you know what you're fighting for. Kim tells Shaw she can only figure out what that is. She tells her to do this as a knockout, not the quintessential diva. Starting next week, Shaw says she trusts Kim and will do exactly that. After this wrapped up, the commentator talked us into another commercial break. So, yeah, Shaw's back next week, back in the company. I think she was out with an injury for a little bit, or I think she might actually just been really depressed that her boyfriend got fired. I wonder if they're still together. Backstage, upon coming from the break, we see the system backstage. They're interviewed about tonight's match with Joe Hendry. They say they have bigger things to worry about with Against All Odds coming up. They walk off, and Frankie Kazarian walks up demanding Gia Miller call him the king of TNA. So he's going around like bullying women backstage to refer to him as king of TNA. I think eventually Josh Alexander's going to correct this behavior. And then we go to Mike Santana and Steve Maclin, and I thought this was pretty good. And I want to see these guys wrestle again. But then it ended in a double disqualification. Now, the double disqualification match makes sense. I don't mind it, but here's the problem. It happened after 3 straight roll-up finishes. So we haven't gotten a clean finish the whole night at this point. Well, actually, I take it. Chris Bay had a clean finish against Ace Austin. Roll-up, it was a wrestling maneuver. That one's fine. But then we have 2 screw job finishes back to back with Brookside getting the distraction finish, and then Jonathan Gresham getting the low blow, and then roll up finish, same thing. And then we go to this match, and we got a double D or no contest because the Rascals interfered, which is going to set up. Looks like they're doing a Maclin full blown babyface turn, and Maclin and Santana are going to be taking on the Rascals here pretty soon, which I'm fine with. I loved this match. I thought it was a good match. The finish wasn't great, obviously, but but this is finally where the crowd started to get into the show. The crowd was dead up until this point, but I think people got hyped from Mike Santana. He's new to the company, new returning to the company. He looks great. Sorry, swig of coffee for Mike Santana. But I think that Santana and Maclin work really well together. I could see this end up being a bigger feud down the road. They do a great job. But the Rascals, attack, and we get the no contest, and it looks like we're gonna get a tag match coming up. Then we go backstage. Spitfire, they're there. They're backstage. Luna is told she has a match, and they agree to do whatever it takes to get back the titles. After this wrapped up, another commercial break, and then we get to Mustafa Ali versus Leon Slater. Now this was the first like non-roll up clean finish of the night. so I thought these guys were pretty good, and I think they did a really good job. Champagne Singh is now Campaign Singh, which I think is pretty funny, and he is the campaign manager for Mustafa Ali. Leon Slater continues to be impressive. He looked really good in the match. Mustafa Ali obviously got the clean victory. He doesn't need to cheat to beat a 19-year-old guy. But Leon Slater clearly is the future of this division, and I think probably this time next year he'll be the champ. Hopefully, if they're booking things correctly, we're going to see this one again down the road, and Leon Slater is going to get the best of him. Hopefully, when he's a little bit older. But I really did like this match. Let's go to the finish. Back in the ring, the two traded roll-up attempts, the dreaded roll-up. So they're both trying to win this match to get the roll-ups. Slater hit a big neck breaker on Ali for a close 2 count. Ali fought back and bounced Slater's head off the ring post inside the ring. Ali, I thought that was pretty gnarly looking. Ali followed up with a top rope 450 splash for the hard fought win. So yeah, good stuff. I like the match. And then we go to the main event. And before we get there, Moose is on a rampage. He's looking for Broken Matt. So he's backstage looking for Broken Matt. Next week is the 20-year anniversary of the TV show Impact. So 20 years ago, coming up, they debuted on Fox Sports Network, or like the local affiliates, Fox Sports Net. And then also next week we got Jordan Grace versus Allison Kay, and Laredo Kid versus AJ Francis. So they're doing a throwback episode. They're gonna have all the old logos and stuff like that. So that should be cool. Too bad they don't have it lit up the way that it used to be lit up in the Impact Zone in Orlando. Gisele Shaw is also back, and then Speedball Mountain will take on Mustafa Ali and Campaign Singh. Singh, you're gonna get that. You're gonna take that pin, buddy. And then also, because they bumped into each other backstage, and both men are large, Khan versus Jake something. So there we go. So then we go to Eddie Edwards versus Joe Hendry, and if you guys didn't think that Joe Hendry was main eventing Slammiversary before, tonight should basically seal the deal. Not only did he beat Eddie Edwards clean in what I thought was a very good match, the system where it was on the outside having Eddie's back, actually it was just Brian Myers and Alicia Edwards because Moose was still looking for Matt Hardy. But then the Nemeth brothers came out to get the back of Joe Hendry. Well, TNA is now selling a We Believe shirt for Joe Hendry, but it's we in French, OUI, we. And he got the clean victory here against Eddie Edwards, and I thought this match was awesome. And it was like no games, no gimmicks, no comedy. Eddie Edwards beat the shit out of this guy, and Joe Hendry. I thought this was probably one of the best Joe Hendry matches I've ever seen. I thought he looked really, really good here, and the crowd was into him. This dude is over, and they got it right here. They're going with Joe Hendry, and I think it's the right move. I think they finally made like a very good decision, and they're going to go ahead and go with Joe Hendry. They have the right person on the top of this company. He's the top babyface in this company going forward, and I think that's the right way to go. So a really good match. They're doing Joe Hendry right, and I am impressed with the way that they've been doing this. So. Godilla says this Hendry shit is being done correctly. Absolutely. After Hendry got the victory and celebrated with the Nemeth brothers, they cut to the back, and Moose finds Matt Hardy and then attacks Matt Hardy and beats him up. I think this is leading to some of the old school Broken Matt stuff from the Hardy compound to build to Against All Odds, which I think that's what's been missing from the Hardy stuff. I think we've been needing that. So, and I think once they do that, maybe they'll get some more interest in the Hardy and Moose match going forward. But I think right now Hardy is kind of a weak challenger, so they need to do something to spice this thing up. All right, Lucha and Illa, I'm gonna go to your comments here, and then I'm gonna close the show out because I'm already over time. Let's see. Lucha says PCO and SDL wedding segment of Slammiversary. Delete your account. Delete it. Don't put that out there because I think that's a likely thing. I think that the idea is just bad enough they might use it. Illa says that Khan and Jake segment was cringe. Absolutely. And then the Gresham gimmick should only be on Explosion. Does he even do this on the Indies? No, he's only doing this in TNA. I think he's just regular Jonathan Gresham in in the Indies. I don't think he's doing any of that stuff. So, and then Illa says, "What have you been saying? Build a contender, name a title contender, not Josh Alexander. That's built as good as Joe." Yeah, no, he is the best built title contender we've had since Josh Alexander. I think that's a great point, because everybody else is like on a losing streak, and then they win a number one contenders match, and then they get a title shot, and then they either lose or they win the title, and they, and it's nobody cares. But yeah, Josh was actually built for like 9 months before he won the title, and then he lost it immediately, and then they continued to build him as a challenger, and they did a great job, and he eventually overcame Moose. I think Joe Hendry's got so much fire under him, and they're booking the man. He's winning matches. Like TNA doesn't like their title contenders to win matches. It's like they want them to lose their way into they want them to lose for a while, win a number one contender match, and then get a title shot, right? Like it's just backwards booking. They're actually like building him as a strong contender. It's weird. I'm just not used to it. And I'm just really impressed with them. I'm really impressed that they're doing basic booking. And then Hardy, it says Hardy is the weakest contender ever. Yeah, Hardy has not had a single pinfall victory since he's been in the company. He's not great. So they're gonna do some gimmicks, but and then props to Ollie and Bailey. I like this build. Yeah, they're doing the same thing with Bailey. Bailey has not been on a winning streak either. But I think the way that they got the heat for Bailey by having Ollie screw him out of the number one contendership, I think is good. Now Bailey just needs to get a series of wins leading into Slammiversary to make him look strong. So, like Ollie needs to send people to take Bailey out, and Bailey needs to beat their asses on his way to Slammiversary. I think that's the way to go. But speaking of way to go, I got to go. I am way over time. So that is going to do it for me. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. Thank you for being Patreon subscribers. And if you're checking this out on YouTube, become a Patreon subscriber. Go to patreon.com/The Mike and JD Show. And until next time, mahalo.